a lot of these older rides need a lot more love. And this really worries me too, living in Southern California when we are prone to earthquakes. It worries me when you have a lot of these structures, these iconic structures, the Matterhorn, Small World, Sleeping Beauty's castle, things like that, that, you know, a lot of stuff in there hasn't really been touched too much. That worries me if we do have, God forbid,
now, as far as like the
earthquake.
history of the park, has the park ever been affected by any earthquakes?
Well, Northridge earthquake was a big deal. I know Northridge, I lived in the San Fernando Valley at that time in 1994, so I felt it big time.
Okay.
That was a monstrous earthquake, but there was some damage to Disneyland. But I think it was mostly around the hotel, Disneyland Hotel. I don't think it really was the parks. But as far as I can tell, no, I don't think Disneyland has ever had significant damage from an earthquake.
Now, let me ask you, I know you're not like too overly familiar with Walt Disney World, but you know more of like the logistics of how things are run.
Right.
Do you think of how they are both run completely different? Is Disneyland less, are they more ignorant to the fact of not paying attention to say, hey, if a natural disaster happens, we're safe, we're good to go, as opposite of Walt Disney World? Because I know Walt Disney World has a lot of, you know, ways of getting around weather, hurricanes, flash floods, tropical storms. Do you feel that Disneyland has that same outlook when it comes to, as you suggested, like with earthquakes?
It's tough because I hope they do. I don't know for sure. I don't know the internals, but I hope they do. The situations are a little different just because with a hurricane, you know, days, even maybe a week in advance that it's going to hit.
Right.
So you can board up windows, you can prepare, you can lock down the fort basically before it hits. An earthquake can just about happen at any time. You know, the Northridge earthquake hit at like 4:30 in the morning, you know? So, and you don't know how big it's going to be. You don't know how long it's going to last. That's a variable that's hard, you know, when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. But I do see a lot of stuff at Disneyland Resort that concerns me in regards to earthquakes. The monorail beam is a big oof. God, you know, I mean, that's the 1950s, not even 60s. That's 1959.
Yeah.
You know, and man, I really hope, George, I hope they've retrofitted this stuff. It can withstand a 6-point plus earthquake that hits Orange County or something like that. I really do. Because a lot of stuff that's older, the castle, the monorail, like Tiki Room and Small World, all that stuff, you know, these are like icons. This is like almost, you know, like national history to a lot of, you know, to a sense, right?
Yeah.
The castle is an icon, and I would hate to see any of it I would hate to see, you know, I would hate to lose any of it.
Yeah, because even if we know automatically Disney would be up in arms to repair that immediately, but just the visual sight of seeing the castle, God forbid, a piece of it, even just one piece of it missing, I mean, us as fans would go hysterical, thinking, oh my gosh, what we see as this invincible structure actually can bleed blood.
Well, yeah, and the issue too is like, you know, in terms of sentimental value, it's like, okay, so God forbid, let's say an earthquake hits and the castle needs to be rebuilt, right? After the earthquake, it's no longer Walt's castle then. You had to rebuild it from the ground up, and that's upsetting. So I would hope that Disney would retrofit and take steps now to prevent that from happening.
Yes.
And I hope they do. But this Small World flooding situation worries me because it kind of shines a light on this, right? It kind of shines a light on this, saying like, there's technology in that attraction that has not been touched since the 1960s. Yikes. I mean, that worries me for earthquakes and other stuff. It kind of takes my brain down that rabbit hole a little bit. And it does worry me because I love this place so much. And you do too, you know? We just want to see it like, we want it.
Survival of the fittest, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. We want it to be around for generations to come. And it's hard when you have outdated, kind of crumbling infrastructure. That's a tough one.
Luckily, and I know this is going to sound horrible of me, but if this had to happen to an attraction, in a way, I'm kind of glad it was It's a Small World, because it's such an iconic attraction that resonates with Disneyland that Disneyland will not just let it sit and rot. They will take care of the matter right away.